From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Michael Schlegel from PermaPlate. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really glad to have you here today.
Yeah.
First time on the show?
It is, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Let's get to the content. I'd like to ask you a little bit about addendums. When you were a salesperson and you had to present addendums to customers, how did you feel about that?
Well, I look back at, it was 20 years ago when I first got into the automotive industry. And as a new salesperson, there's so many things going through my head. For one is, how do I sell 10 cars a month? And how do I do it at maybe MSRP? And then you look and you see this dealer addendum or these add-ons. And it made me very uncomfortable, made me unsure of myself. How was I going to do that? How was I going to get customers to say yes to a $1,900 add-on when my true belief was deals are made when prices are low? Mm-hmm. And so it was quite a struggle. And I think a lot of young people in the industry go through that when they first start selling cars.
Yeah. I know I did. I was selling in a market where everybody had GM supplier because it was near Dayton, Ohio. And we had a $500 paint protection thing, and I'll tell you what, those guys sure as heck didn't want to pay it, but we didn't. You got to do it.
Right.
How did you do it? How did you overcome that, and what did it mean for your career?
Well, it took me about 3 months, and I would struggle, and car deals were hard, and I would sell some, I'd lose some, I had to get a lot of managers involved, but most importantly to me is I wanted to figure out how to make this a career that I could be successful long term, and it wasn't so much pressure. So I started looking at my peers and the people who were successful around me, and I found one common thing is, for one, they had a lot of confidence, and they understood the value and features and benefits of not only the product, but the addendum products, and they use it as part of their walk-around. And I realized that the number one sell I had to make was myself. I had to sell myself that if I was that customer, what would I see value in? Mm-hmm. And after selling myself, it became easier. I understand that there was a true value there. There was a true benefit to the customer. And that's kind of when my career changed and the transaction got a little bit easier. And I started experiencing not only more yeses, but happier customers because I slowed down and built value in my product.
Gotcha. So you're building value in both the vehicle, but then also the additional things the dealership had added that are listed in the addendum.
Sure. I look at an addendum, it's no different than what's on the Maroni or the MSRP. Those are all options that the manufacturer added. We have a couple additional benefits that the dealer may add, but it's no different. They all have features. They have benefits. What are the positive impacts it's going to make to that customer during their ownership experience? And my job, if it's a factory installed option or a dealer installed option, is to explain the features, benefits, and let the customer make the decision.
Now, I read an article that you wrote about putting yourself on the same side of the table as the customer. Yeah. Can you kind of walk me through that? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I keep reverting back to the things that I did wrong when I started selling cars. One of the things that I would do wrong is I thought that when I met that customer, it was me versus them. It was they're here to buy a car or maybe not buy a car, and I had to try to sell them a car. And their goal was to buy it at the cheapest price, and my goal was to buy it or sell it at the most expensive price. And when I really figured out that I had to take the emotion away of caring so much if they bought a car from me, I really didn't. I'd want to help them figure out what they were looking for, what specific car they wanted, the options, the features, the benefits, and really tailor something to their needs, and really take away the emotion of I got to make money, I got to sell this car, I got to do this deal. I took all that away and really started focusing on the guest experience. I was somebody more of a consultant or a guide rather than a salesperson. And when I looked at it from that position and that perspective, the pressure was off. They could feel less pressure, I could feel less pressure, and it was a more natural transaction. I felt better about what I was doing, and in result, I would make more money and I'd get more yeses.
Awesome. So you ended up selling more cars by not trying to sell more cars.
Right. I really didn't. My main objective was not to sell a car. I would want to focus on the thing that nobody could duplicate. There's many dealerships, and they all have advertising, they all have inventory, rebates, and incentives. But as a salesperson, the thing that can't be duplicated is your personal experience that you provide to the guest. And when you really master that personal, unique experience that they can't duplicate anywhere else, it becomes easy. and then the car deal will fall in place.
Now, do you still use that technique in what you do today?
Oh, absolutely, more than ever. You know, as a product provider, we offer products and services to dealerships across the United States. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of us walking around attempting to establish a relationship with the dealership. Once again, the thing that they cannot duplicate is that personal experience and the impact you can make personally by walking into their dealership. And how do you do that is focus on the dealer's wants and needs, their goals, their objectives, what's going to make them successful. And if you focus on that experience on that level, my results will come, our success will come. And I find that's what really I try to take with me from selling cars to what we do now.
Now, I kind of like to go back to the beginning of our conversation. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
So you mentioned adding value for something listed in the addendum during the walk around.
Sure.
So let's go back to the walk around. You can pick anything that was on that addendum and just give me an example of how you would work that into your walk around.
Sure. Well, you're doing your walk around and the car has a paint protection, and you live in Florida and you're going over a demonstration of this pearl white paint. And you step back and you look and say, man, this brand new 4Runner, this is pearl white metallic paint or whatever it is. You see the white shines. And don't worry, this vehicle comes with a 5-year, 0 deductible repair or replacement guarantee on the paint, leather, and fabric, keeping your brand new Toyota looking like new. Then you move on to the next, talking about the tire, the wheel, the XYZ. So during your walk around, you're not going and saying, oh, by the way, this is our dealer added addendum, here it is, and blah, blah, blah. You just incorporate it like their options, whether it's nitrogen in tires, door edge cup guards, paint protection, tinted windows. It makes your walking around flow. You're just building value. You're not isolating or making everyone nervous by saying, look at these add-ins. And then ultimately you build some value, and hopefully the customer may say yes. They may say no, but at least you gave them the appropriate presentation.
I think that you might have trained Venice Toyota in Florida because the last car I bought was from them with paint protection on a white Toyota 4Runner.
Oh, really? Funny. Yeah, I don't know. That was what my car always wanted when I was selling Toyotas, was a pearl white Toyota 4Runner. I never got it. I should probably go back to Venice Toyota and buy one.
Yeah, you should go back and buy one. They're using your technique.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I really, whether it's selling addendums or selling cars or selling in general, I really think about it, it's about training, and it's about training and tailoring the guest experience, knowing your product, knowing the features, knowing the benefits, and making the transaction smooth, and the rest works in.
You know what? I'd like to segue with that training topic. Let's talk about salespeople that are selling cars right now. They struggle with objections. A lot of them came up during the time of COVID, where there really weren't objections. People were buying what you had. How can you help them? What can they do?
Well, from my experiences, new salespeople don't even understand what a true objection versus a reaction really is. Mm-hmm. Customer walking onto your lot and you show them the car, and within 15 seconds they say, I'm not going to pay that. That's not an objection. That's just a reaction. They're programmed to say that. So understanding that it's a reaction, how to agree with the customer and get them to understand it, no problem, sir. Or, just really understanding the true objection, what is it, and show empathy, agreement, and understanding. And then show them there may be a different way of looking at this, and allow me to make sense of it.
Well, if you were a manager at a dealership right now, what would you do? What would your training regimen look like to get your people, where they need to be to overcome objections and give customers, the experience that you are giving customers?
Well, for one, I would never start training on negotiation. I wouldn't, focus on negotiation. I would focus on guest experience, meet and greet. I have a saying, I don't know where I got this saying from, but it says, if you want your guest or your customer to invest with you, first you must invest with them. And as a car salesperson, that means if I want you to invest with me and buy a car, invest your time and buy a car from me, I have to slow down and invest in you. I have to figure out things about you, your wants, your needs, your buying motives, what you like X, Y, Z about this, and really slow down and figure out what is the appropriate car, what is the appropriate model, and just invest and slow down and understand where they're coming from. If you focus on that, and that experience is the best that they've got between the 13 or 14 or 15 dealerships you're looking at online, the transaction is going to become easy. The negotiations will come easier. You can feel comfortable about asking for money. Mm-hmm. That's where I would start.
All right, so we talked about what you'd do if you were a manager and you needed to train your salespeople. Let's take it one step beyond that. Let's say you're a general manager or a dealer and you need to train your managers on how to train your salespeople. How would you go about that today?
Oh, that's interesting. I get asked that question all the time because I truly believe that that is one of the most overlooked things in a car dealer, is who is training our trainers, who is training our team on being leadership or developing leadership. So, I'm not going to name any specifics, but I would probably make sure that all my desk managers, middle managers, general sales managers, and even myself as a general manager or a dealer would go through leadership programs and development and really figure out how to create a culture of winning and success, and hold my middle managers more accountable than anything for consistent, disciplined training every single day. Because if they're trained on how to be leaders, developers, and can be successful, they can pass that down to sales guys. But we forget to do it. And we think sometimes the guy's a 35 car a month salesperson, he'd make a great leader and developer and manager, and that's not always the case.
Yeah, maybe he's great where he is, right?
Right, absolutely.
I do agree with you on that, because I know when I was selling cars, and then at different times, as working with dealerships in other ways, like there were always those guys that could just come out from behind the desk, and it was almost like they floated out and they were glowing gold, and it was so exciting because you knew it was going to happen. Like customers angry and they're stomping out, and then 5 minutes later they're buying a car.
Right.
Like there were those people that just had that gift, and I remember as a salesperson I always thought, boy, I want to learn that, and you do learn that. You listen to what they say, and you try to repeat it, and you try to implement it into the deal before you need them. And then the same thing goes on, forever. There's always those like gifted people, and I feel like that too much and too often those people are now stuck behind a desk, and they're not out there doing what they need to be doing, which is showing, everybody else how to do it.
You're right, absolutely.
Michael, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today before we go?
Yeah, the car business is evolving daily. It's rapid, right? It's moving in the right direction. But there's a lot of different, things with AI and technology that we think are looking to replace car salespeople and car dealerships. And I really believe that it's not looking at replacing the car dealer or the car salesperson. It's replacing the bad customer experience. That's what ultimately they're looking for, an easier, smoother experience. And regardless of the technology platforms, AI, and what tools we choose to use, if we focus on ourselves, creating the experience that they can't duplicate, and really provide a true, honest value to that person every time they walk into the dealership, in 10 to 20 years from now, we'll still all be here and we'll be highly successful.
Yep. Well, and who knows? The cars might be flying, and maybe we won't be typing anymore. I mean, who knows? Technology is exciting, but I agree with you. It's just another tool. It's going to be the same people doing the same things. It's just going to be a lot easier on us.
Yeah. And if it's easier on us and it's easier on the customer, it's a good thing. We just have to make it easier.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest has been Michael Schlegel from PermaPlate. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.